How's it going, my truant people? Dr. Slacking, the Slacking Doctor, back with the PEBA. That's the... Don't know, I can never remember what it stands for, but it's something. The Pokemon Elite Battling Association, I think, but I don't really know. I'm your coach of the Lake District Spirits, and this week we're going up against my man Fadakie, Zach, who's a really, really cool guy. I'm friends with pretty much everybody in the community. He's been in OWL, he's been in PEBA. I think he's... I was in his CKBL, I think it is his league initials. Just one of the best guys around. Just honestly, such a nice guy. And of course, the man who our Fadakie is named after, Fadakie. We have Fadakie named after him. So yeah, just really, really top guy. Having a difficult season. I think he's like 3 and... I think he's got like 3 wins and like 7 losses at this point. Is this? No, this is like week 10. I don't even remember what week this is. I know that this is the most recent game that I played. I know that I have 2 games left against Young Bishop and Eevee Master. I believe this was week 11. I think we've got like 13 weeks in PEBA. It's worked out weird in PEBA. I don't even know. But regardless, he's only got like 3 or 4 wins all season. He's been struggling. He's not had a best season because he's just been really busy all the time, which I completely understand. And so this week was a really difficult one because both of us were really busy. We scheduled to play at one time and then he fell asleep after work, completely fair. And then we scheduled to play at another time and then I was really tired. And then at one point I was like, oh, let's just play now. And he was free and I was like, let's just play now. I'd literally just woken up from a nap and I felt like absolute crap. I was getting a migraine that day. But he very kindly offered to let me delay it to whatever, and he offered to take the forfeit loss as he fell asleep at the original time that we scheduled. I didn't want that, and the reason that I didn't want that is because we had one forfeit loss earlier in the season, and a matchup that I could almost guarantee I was going to win. This game, I did not feel confident, so I didn't want to take a forfeit win, potentially securing playoffs, in a game that I felt I might lose if I played it. That just didn't seem fair to me, so I said, no, we'll play it. Even if I've, just woken up from a nap and I've got a migraine, I feel like crap. We'll play it because, truth be told, I haven't had the time to prep properly this week, so it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter that I'm not in the best frame of mind. My prep is not good enough. I prepped on my own, unfortunately. Just one of those things. I had a semi-final in the LTC and everything else going on, so this just was not the week for PEBA, unfortunately, for prep-wise, at least. So let's run through what we did bring, or what I did build here. I decided to bring a substitute for Dancy. It's against the man it's named after, so I had to bring it. I also think it just had a good matchup. If I can get a sub off, Rocky MZ killed a lot of things on his team. I do think that someone maybe helped me with some building advice. I think I dropped the matchup in the chat and people gave their feedback. Not entirely sure, and if I'm doing anyone a disservice in my front office who did help me build, then shout at me, but I'm pretty sure this was just me. Or I sent it to them and they checked over it and recommended 1 or 2 tweaks. That might have been what happened. Ironhead and X for everything else. Oh goodness, I should tell you his draft. I'm so sorry. His draft is Zygarde 50%, Scizor, that's regular Scizor, Florges, Aerodactyl, Mega Aerodactyl, Rotom Heat, Tentacruel, Azelf, Porygon 2, Virizion, Swadloon, and Malamar. So major threats: Zygarde 50%, Dragon Dance or Banded. Set going to be scary. Got priority in the E-Speed and hits everything with 1000 arrows. Scizor, potential bandit, set terrifying with the bullet punch and nice coverage. Could be a bulky defogger though. Florges, Wish Passer, defogger, cleric, good option. Mega Aerodactyl outspeeds everything on my draft to the point where it can run adamant and terrifies the crap out of me. Unless he wants to try and outspeed some Scarfers, which is possible. Rotom Heat, really, really scary mon. Defogger, just great coverage. Not a lot switches into Rotom Heat because of its dual stab, meaning that, water types can't switch on its fire stab because of its electric stab, and grass types can't come in on its electric stab, so you really need a ground type to handle Rotom Heat, which you'll see in a minute. We don't. Azelf, really fast, really, really scary. And other threats, Virizion, which is one of his Z users. Rotom Heat is the other Z user, so Z Overheat is going to do a chunk to anything. And Virizion is potential scary with setup options, nice speed tier and nice moves, nice coverage. And Azelf just outspeeds my whole team, is a Rock Sarah, is a potential suicide, Rocks, Explosion, Lead. Very, very scary mod. So we decided to build this Durant set to try and hit all of those with X's at Iron Edge, Stone Edge with a Rocky MZ. Then we have Keanu Reeves Choice Specs. This is the exact same set we brought last week against Toasty Rex. Just so happens we were speed creeping something with the same base speed that Toasty had. But this time we changed the moves up a little bit, just the exact same EV spread, which made me smile. Tri-attack, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Fire. Hidden Power Fire, of course, teched on there for the Scissor, if I wanted to try and predict Scissor switching, but I never really do. I just want to spam Tri-attack with this monster. Thunderbolt on there for the Aerodactyl, which is his other resist to normal types. And Ice Beam for the Zygarde, if I want to try and just nuke the Zygarde. So, really, as ever with Porygon Z, I'm going to be clicking Tri-Attack. But, you know, I have coverage options if it comes down to a 1v1 or something like that. Then we have Old World, the Mandibuzz. Really, really love Mandibuzz. It was kind of important this match that I brought some sort of defensive checks. So this thing switched in on the Sizzle, potentially on the Zygarde-ish, on the Azelf, potentially if it was a physical like set. And maybe the Virizion too. So this had a decent chance of walling a few things on his team. Primarily it was here as a defogger, as my defog option on this team. Brave Bird there to hit things like the Scizor, the Virizion, which I particularly wanted to check with this thing, especially. Roost to roost off any damage. And yeah, just max defense, max bulk to try and take some hits. Toxic to spread status around and try and wear things down. Roost, of course, for longevity. Next up, we have Mega Altaria. Altair, really, really loved using Altair this season. We have a Dragon Dance set, and if I could get enough chip on everything, this thing could sweep through his team. I needed to get to +2 to... Oh, that's not what I wanted to open. This is what I wanted to open. I need to get to +2 to outspeed the potential Scarf, Zygarde, the Mega Aerodactyl, and any other potential Scarfers like Azelf. So yeah, really wanted to try and get to +2 if I could on this thing, and then I could start killing things. Return could kind of run through his draft with enough chip. Draco Meteor was on there for the Rotom Heat, which otherwise resisted return and could Will-O-Wisp me, which was a problem. And Fire Blast was on there for the Scizor, which otherwise can take a return. With this Bulk, we would maybe take a... I don't think we take a Banded Bullet Punch, but I think we take a defensive Scizor's Bullet Punch, which I thought was a more likely bring here. So that's why we have that. But ultimately, I kind of want Scizor to be gone for Altarius put in work. Then we have the Infernape. Now, Infernape has a really, really nice matchup in terms of just nuking one or two things. It's speed tier, outsped the... or speed tied with the Virizion, so we had to run it Jolly Max Speed, unfortunately. But with the Mach Punch, I could really put a dent in the Aerodactyl. I could do like 25% with the Life Orb Mach Punch, I think 20% with the Life Orb Mach Punch. So I could just add some more chip to that thing, which otherwise could be a bit of a pain. Close combat, didn't have an awful lot of switching. Something like the Azelf, which doesn't tend to be run bulky, doesn't really want to switch in on a close combat. Florges, if I bring it in on rocks, plus close combat, plus Flare Blitz, because it's not physically very bulky, it probably goes down. And I can get my rocks up, so... Didn't run enough calcs with this thing, just kind of thought, yeah, I'll bring an Iron Fist, Mach Punch in Infernape as my rock setter as well. Then we got Miltank. How now, Miltank? How now, Blue Cow with the thick fat and the leftovers. And you might be thinking, what on earth is that moveset and EV spread? Well, this is a Max Spadef set with Curse. Basically wanted to run this thing how I've been running Licky Licky in the LTC. If I dealt with the Azelf and the Scizor potential Banded Superpower was a problem. Scizor Banded Superpower was a problem. Azelf was a problem, and Virizion was a problem. But if I tackled the Virizion and I tackled the Azelf, the only thing I had to worry about was a Banded Scizor, and I could scout for that early. At that point, this thing potentially, if timed properly, just cursed up and swept through his whole team, much like Licky Licky has been doing in the OTC. Really, really excited to use this set. So yeah, that was the team that we brought. Let's hop straight into battle. So here we are in the battle, guys, and you can see he brings the Azelf, the Zygarde 50%, the Swadloon, the Scizor, the Mega Aerodactyl, and the Porygon 2. Now, crucially, I don't see the Virizion, so that means the main things to stop Miltank from just winning here is the Banded Scizor potential and the Azelf potential. I also need to be careful of Hone Claws Aerodactyl and Dragon Dance Zygarde, because they might want to set up on Miltank, so I need to make sure I got to like at least +1 before they came out so that I could start pressuring them with damage. Other than that, Miltank looks really, really good here. So super, super pleased about its matchup. We'll put that quickly on slow. Now, I'm trying to remember what my lead was here. Oh, looking at his team, I thought that his best lead was probably Azelf. It gave him U-turn. it gave him rocks, it gave him explosion. So I wanted to bring out Durant to begin with, because if you went out with the Swaddling for sticky webs, I could instantly pressure that thing and I could sub up on it and start wreaking havoc to his team. And if he led with Azulf, if he didn't have coverage for me in the flamethrower, I could kind of scout for that. So he does actually lead with the Azulf, and we lead with Fadakie. So we switch out to try and see what he's going to do. And he switches out, which makes you think, okay, he probably doesn't have flamethrower on his Azulf, which is really, really nice. He goes out into Scizor, and that was my prediction. I thought that, okay, if he switches out from the Durant, what does he switch out into? Maybe the Zygarde, or maybe the Scizor. If he goes out into Scizor, I mean, it could have been the Porygon 2 as well, but I didn't think so. If he goes out into Scizor, I want some chip on it. If he goes out into the Zygarde, I'd love to get a Toxic on it. So let's just go into Old World, because I kind of want both of those. And we click Brave Bird, and he just U-turns out into the Porygon 2. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not the end of the world. This thing's going to want to Toxic me, but I also want to Toxic him. So that's fine. Let's just get a Toxic off. So we just fire for Toxic as he Toxics me. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's completely fine. I can live with that. And here, I think we just go out into Infernape. That's right. Expecting him to want to go for an Ice Beam. And he actually doubles out into the Azulf. And here he has the matchup advantage. It looks like he's going to scare me out with a Psychic. But from the fact he led with this thing, I think it's a Stealth Rock lead. I don't think it's Scarfed. I don't think it's Specs or anything like that. I think it's a Stealth Rock lead, maybe Sash. And if it is, then I can just Flare Blitz into it plus Muck Punch. So, oh no, I don't stay in. Okay, I was about to say I stay in. I don't. I go out to Mandibuzz to scout for the Psychic as he goes for a Stealth Rock. Interesting. I thought I stayed in there. We're just going to click Defog. He goes to the U-turn, revealing, of course, that he isn't choice locked into anything. I believe we just fire for Defog here because that's it. I really didn't want Rocks Up. I was like, I don't want Rocks Up because that really hampers Mega Altaria. I don't think Old World can last that long in this game because it's my only defensive mon on this team. This team is way too hyper offense for my taste. And we go for a Roost on his U-turn, which was just a sleepy play. Huge regrets there. And at that point, Old World with the Toxic Rack and everything else is kind of crippled. I don't want to sack anything else to this monster, so I just let Old World go down. Really sad about that. Huge misplay from me roosting on this Scizor. Big regrets. But at this point, he may again think that the Durant is Scarf, and I'm just going to go for a substitute unless he's attacking the Fire Fang. He can't do much to me, and I've got to start making plays at this point. And indeed, he does switch out, and I can just fire off AZ Stone Edge into the Scizor. And I think he is pretty bulky to live this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's pretty bulky. And he goes for a Superpower. It makes a lot of sense. I couldn't sub up even with his attack dropped, so I just go for an Iron Head here to try and finish it off and get a kill. Maybe I could have tried to go for a sub, I don't know. Durant does have a lot of physical defense, but I just didn't want to mess around with that. So we just fired off the Iron Head, and then we go for another Iron Head here on his Zygarde, which unfortunately we missed. That's Hustle, that's what you do. He gets 1,000 auras off, but we live, and we go for another Iron Head. And here, I was hoping for a flinch, but instead we see a Dragon Dance, and suddenly I'm like, oh my goodness. How do I not get swept by a Zygarde right now? What is my Zygarde check? Like, this is a absolute disaster. So I'm just going to stay in and go for another Iron Head and hope that he like gets greedy and goes for another Dragon Dance and I can put him in Muck Punch range. Unfortunately, he doesn't. So here I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to play a bit of a bluff game. So I go into Keanu Reeves. I'm pretty sure I can live any one hit, but I'm bluffing the Scarf. He hasn't seen this Keanu Reeves set yet, and I might just scare him out. We fire for Ice Beam because we can't run the risk. Yes, I would love to try attack there, but ultimately we just can't run the risk. I can feel safe going into Infernape on what I assume is going to be a Toxic, which it is. And then with Infernape here, I can just click, I don't know if I go for Rocks or if I just go for the Flare Blitz. I just go for Rocks, that's it. To try and wear his team down for the Altaria. And then this is where I stay. And I'm like, he's going to go for Rocks again. I can't get them down, so he's definitely going for them now that Mandibuzz is off the field. I'm just going to Flare Blitz this man and then Muck Punch him when his Sash is there. But he doesn't have a Sash, so I don't need to Muck Punch him, which means we get to stay in one more turn with Wukong. And he goes back out into this thing, which I was like, that's an interesting switch, but it's because he has Protect, so it makes a hell of a lot of sense. I probably should have read that and switched out on the Protect. I think that was a misplay by me. I think it was fairly obvious he must have had Protect, otherwise he was just sacking that thing to Infernape when he had an Aerodactyl right there. But nonetheless, he takes the poison damage, and we can go out into Mega Altaria. I will click Dragon Dance. Yes, he's going to Toxic me. Maybe he misses. He doesn't. But that's fine, because I can get another Toxic off on this thing, and I only need 4 turns. There's 4 things left after this. If I can live like 3 turns, maybe Porygon Z can clean up. But he is teching the Ice Beam, and it does a hell of a lot, and we died to toxic damage. I thought he would have the Ice Beam. I didn't think it would do that much, but it does, and I'm like, damn, I should have calced that. I should have played that better. That was a horrible misplay. And now here, I don't make a misplay as such, but when the Swadloon comes out, I just click Try Attack. This was a golden opportunity against the Swadloon. I could go out into Miltank. At worst, he could Toxic me, and I could click Curse on this Swadloon all day, every day. I think I was nervous about switching out in case he doubled. Why would he double? Why would he double with Swadloon? So, slight misplay. He does go for the Toxic, which wouldn't have mattered on Miltank because we have the rest. So, and then I should go Miltank again here. I don't. I click Try Attack again. Doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. And he now knows I'm Specs. So, he goes out into this thing, and I'm like, okay, well, this isn't Scarf, and I outspeed you, and this is going to do a shit ton. But he is taking the extreme speed. It doesn't do enough. I guess he must have ran some calcs with the Mega Aerodactyl. I'm not sure of my speed stat. Didn't want to run the risk of me just taking out the Mega Aerodactyl there. So goes for the extreme speed and then goes for the Aerial Ace, making sure that he takes me out. Which is really nice. Maybe if I was Scarf as well, he didn't want to get beaten by Scarf. So now we go into How Now, and we just click Curse, and we can see that we can live 2 of these. So that is amazing. We're like, okay, we just win, barring a crit here. And he actually reveals to have the Home Claws right as I go for the Curse. And that is like, oh no. Okay. So he's not going to miss the Stone Edge. I think Stone Edge only has 8 PP, so that's his second Stone Edge. And I'm like, right. Okay. He only has 8 PP. He can miss. Nope. He landed his first one, and he got his Home Claws up, so now he's never going to miss. What I have to do is I have to win the Curse rates and hope that he never crits me. So I'm running these calcs constantly to see how we're going to do with the Curse. We get another Curse off. He can't kill me from this range without a crit. And we're just going to fire off a Rest. He doesn't get the crit. We get to go to sleep. Now, crucially here, at plus 1, 2, 3, a plus 3 attack, we 2-hit KO this boy. So I'm about to click Sleep Talk, and if I get return even once, I'm in a really good position. Really good position just to clean up this game with Miltank, as we hoped. And he goes for a Home Claws while I'm sleeping. It makes perfect sense. I click Sleep Talk, I get Rest, and I'm like, okay, but the fact he went for Home Claws gives me another opportunity, because he's not boosting his defense, and he goes for another Home Claws, and I'm like, this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. It gives me another opportunity. Sleep Talk, Rest again. Double Rest on the Sleep Talk sucked. So I'm like, damn, okay. He does 45% with that Stone Edge. I'm just going to click Curse because I have to make sure I live one. Now, with hindsight there, I should have clicked Return because I 2-hit KO'd and I took that Stone Edge for 45%. I would have lived the next one. Don't know why I went for another Curse. I got greedy. Had I clicked Return there, that would have put him down to about 30%, 25%. So, just don't know why I didn't click Return there. It doesn't really matter anyway, because this time I'm going to click Return as he crits. I guaranteed, the last Stone Edge did 45, but I got another Curse off, so I guaranteed to live. Oh, I think I cursed in case he Home Clawsed again, that was why. He had, I believe, I don't think it's going to show us, but let's quickly count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had used 5 Stone Edges, so he had 3 left. So we were really close, really close to outstalling those. I think, am I counting that right? Yeah. So we were really close to stalling those Stone Edges out. Unfortunately, he had the Home Claws. If he didn't have the Home Claws, we would have had a great chance because he might have been missing some of those Stone Edges. However, if you sit in front of 5 Stone Edges, at some point you're going to get crit. Like, it's going to happen. And what really lost me that game was the fact that I didn't get a return on either Sleep Talk. So if I got a return on either Sleep Talk, or not even a Curse because he still crit me when he crit me. So if I got a return on either Sleep Talk, I won that game before he crit me. However, the fact that he only crit me on Stone Edge number 5, I don't know the maths, maybe you guys can do that, I don't know. But the fact that he only crit me on Stone Edge number 5, I think I can consider myself a little bit lucky there anyway. So this was a really sore loss to take because we've been on such a good run in PEBA. We've been getting back up. This now puts us at 6 and 4, I think. So I think we're at 6 and 4. So I think this was week 10. So yeah, it really hurt. It really hurt to take this loss after everything we've been playing. But at the same time, it was expected because I didn't prep well enough. And I sat in front of a Mega Aerodactyl, Home Claws, and a Clicker Stone Edge. What do you expect? So, some definite misplays from me. Several misplays throughout this game and bad prep. But Fadakie, like, he deserves to win. Zach thoroughly deserved this win. And it was good to get him back to winning ways. And, you know, I'm moaning about my prep not being up to scratch and my plays not being up to scratch. But he had been working all week, working nights or late shifts all the time. I know he'd been working, like, overtime, I think he said. So he was equally as under-prepped as I was. So me saying, look, I didn't have good enough prep, that's not an excuse. Neither did he, and he still beat me. So he fully deserved his win on the day. And, yeah, I can't knock that. I can't knock that. He played very, very well. So that just happens, guys. GG to my man, Fadakie. Hopefully I can play him again very, very soon, and we can try and beat him next time, because this was our first game against him, and it sucks to lose your first game against someone, but that's how it goes. So, with all that being said, we have 2 weeks left in the PEBA, and crucially right now, us, Eevee Master, no, let me get this right, I am 1 win ahead of, no I'm not, us, Eevee Master, Luke, and Isaac are all sitting on identical records. 3 of the 4 of those teams, I believe, make playoffs. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It could be 2, but I think it's 3. Luke has just lost his game this week, which I haven't played my game this week yet. This is last week's game that you're watching right now. So, he has already lost his game this week. And we play Eevee in the final week of the season. What that means is, yes, Isaac can win both of his games, and I can do nothing about it, and he will finish on an identical record to me if I win both of my games. But if I win both of my games, Luke has already lost 1, and one of them is against Eevee, so he would lose 1 if I won both of mine, because I would beat him. So it's entirely in my own hands to make playoffs. If I win both of my remaining games, I guarantee playoffs. Now, we play Young Bishop, who is an improving player, but he's only won 1 game all season. So I definitely want to beat him. It is nothing personal if you're watching Young Bishop. I just want to make playoffs really, really bad, just like you want to beat me really, really bad. So that's a game that we need to win this week against Young Bishop. We're playing on Sunday, so hopefully that goes well. And then final week against Eevee Master could be the decider, because even if I beat Bishop or lose to Bishop, depending on other results, it could come down to me and Eevee to decide who makes it. So that last game of the season is going to be really, really crucial for playoffs, and it could be me versus Eevee as a playoff before playoffs, just like we had with Devious Ditto in the LTC. So, and of course, Eevee being my former Christmas Kids teammates in Owl makes it even more interesting. But yeah, hopefully, guys, hopefully we can make our 2nd playoffs in a row in League. Incredible. I hope so. Hopefully you guys are hyped for the remaining 2 games and potential games beyond that. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.